Good morning, folks. We find ourselves back in the Cairngorms National Park. I've just left Sugar Bowl Car Park and I'm heading towards Altmore Ravine. Now, over the next couple of days, I'm going to attempt to do the Cairn Toul and Braeriach traverse, which includes 4 Munros, 3 of which are the highest peaks in the UK. So that grading of 5, so it is going to be quite challenging. The weather conditions at the moment should be favourable, though the wind is starting to pick up. But we'll just see how we go on, and we'll take it one step at a time. So I've just come out the Altmore Ravine. Just while we're at this section, just be advised, if you are bringing dogs up, this is an area where the reindeer actually graze, so there's some warnings up regarding that. Anyway, yeah, coming out the ravine, it looks like it's actually going to be quite steep. It's not. Can be a bit disorientating because you start walking obviously in a more sort of northward direction, away from obviously your intended goal. Don't worry, you will come back, and so I'll put a little bit of footage on the trail there. So I thought I might as well talk a little bit more about this route. Now I did say it's a grade 5, not only is that because of the height that we have to climb, you're on very exposed areas going along some of the ridge lines. There are very few escape routes as well. It'll be very hard going underfoot if it's wet. So all these things need to be taken into account. But my biggest concern is going to be the wind. Now I've looked at the long range forecast and the wind's meant to be at an acceptable level. But that can always change. As I know fine well, I went to go and do this particular trail I think maybe 2 months ago, and I had to actually turn back because of the high winds. I had to make the safe call. Very disappointing at the time, but the mountains are never going anywhere. Distance wise, it depends how you choose to break it up. You're looking at about 23 miles. Now if you're ultralight backpacking, you could probably do it 12 to 13 hours, but that is a hard push. And I know fine well you've got to go through the notorious Lochain Gap, which is a boulder field, and through the Lairig Ghru, which yet again is more boulders and hard going. So I've taken a wise course to break this down into 2 days. Anyway, push a little bit further, we'll catch up then. We're on a reasonably nice flat section at the moment. Around about this point in the trail the last time, where well, I'd already met a couple of walkers and a trail runner who'd actually head back from doing exactly the same route I was intending on doing because of the high winds. And even now, the wind's already starting to pick up. Now the forecast said round about the summits, expect about 35 to 40 mile per hour winds, which is doable as long as you're playing it safe and keeping away from the ridges. But as I know, that can change. The weather forecast last time when I came out, when I looked at the long range forecast, well I say long range the day before, you know, it was meant to be beautiful sunshine as it was the previous day I was out doing a Munro. And yeah, overnight it all changed. I got back to the campsite and beautiful sunshine down there, and it never hit there until later on in the afternoon. Anyway, so I thought while I'm on this trail, there's a few things I actually wanted to try out. First of all, I've decided to go away from using sort of well, more traditional style hiking boots. Originally I had the barefoot. I found them, they're really good in certain scenarios, but when you're doing long multi-day hikes, I find that it's really tiring my feet wearing them, because you just do not have any form of cushion and support. So I'm going to try the Ultra Timp 5s, which are going at the moment. A lot of people recommend them. I've got to admit, my initial impressions of them is they're good, nice at the toe box, plenty of room. When your feet start to swell after doing a few days walking, that's appreciated. You get less irritation and rubbing. But the ankle area is very tight. So yeah, I'll just go and wait and see how we get on with them. It might be the case as they'll break in and it'll get better over the next few days. And I've also, keen eye if you maybe watched my previous videos, will see that I've got a new backpack on. One of the Atom packs. It's a local company in the UK that makes them. I got away from my Kakwa 55, which I call my fancy bin liner. Far too expensive for what that was. And I've got another thing I want to try out as well, but I'll wait until later on in the day and I'll share that with you. Anyway, we'll move along towards the Lochain Gap. So if you look in front of me, this is the entrance to Lochain Gap. But there is actually a bypass path, and according to the map, if I pan my camera around, you'll see just this path coming up along here, and this will skirt the shallow main gap for you. And I think on the way back I'll give that a go. So we're just entering the first section of the shallow main gap. Now this is put down in the guides as a leg breaker, but very good reason. Plenty of places that you could get your leg trapped. More importantly, when I've done this before in the past, it was during winter conditions, and quite a lot of times you can't actually see what you're doing, so I had to skirt around part of this boulder field trying to get to the highest level, just so I could see what I was actually doing. Another danger is rock slides, which if you have a look around you can see that something does happen. So if we look down, you'll see the trail path for the Lairig Ghru coming from the Roffey Marcus estate, and that follows up into the trench, as we'll call it. And we look up ahead, heading up into the mountains. We'll see if I can try and point out from here. But further along, that'll be our return path coming from Braeriach. So we'll move down, we'll get away off the hillside. It's a bit on the windy side, and we'll hopefully get a little bit shelter once we get down into the ravine. So we've just come off the long stair section off the hill, and we're now on the Lairig Ghru trail, one that I've done in the past, probably about, I think it was maybe a month or so ago. Yeah, at the moment we're on the easy part, so we're just going to follow this up. Now, one of the things I did not mention earlier on, there are obviously different ways to doing this trail. A lot of people will do it from the Lairig Ghru, which is obviously on the Braemar side, and they'll walk in. To try and do that on one day, I think that would be a very intense task. So most people will do an overnight stay at Cairngorms. And likewise, I told you how you could bypass the shallow main gap by going up the hillside. You can also do it from the other way. I mean, you could come in, rather than coming from Sugar Bowl car park like myself, you could do it coming from Aviemore and just come up the Lairig Ghru path. I don't see any reason to why you can't do it that way. You're still getting the Munros, still getting the scenery, and perhaps it's slightly easier. So the rain's on. It's not overly heavy, but it's certainly need the waterproofs on. Likewise, it gives a little bit of a barrier against the wind. The path going up the Lairig Ghru, if you've never done it before, it's very easy to navigate. It's a good trail path for the most part, and going along it you will come across plenty of cairnstones, which come winter time can be life-saving. But we're going to move on, and I think the next port of call is probably going to be the pools of Dee. So the glen's just starting to open up. I'm trying to point out some of the areas though, even though you can't see the summits. There, heading in that direction, we've got Berwick. Hopefully, if the weather's good tomorrow, which it's not going to be from what I can see in the forecast, we might try and get some views of it. In the far distance, where we're heading towards, that's the Devil's Point. And up in the clouds, around about somewhere up there, Cairn Toul. And just out of sight, round about here, is Braeriach. Now, as you can see, it's absolutely pissing down. Welcome to the Highlands. Oh, it's probably only about 15 minutes away from trying to look for somewhere to actually get pitched up near Coylumbridge, and it just started to hammer down. Well, that's sometimes the way it plays out. Anyway, we'll move on, and hopefully next time we catch up, I'll be nice and warm and cosy in my tent. So it's going on 5:30, and I'm already lying in my sleeping bag, relaxing. Had some music on the go, probably going to get my Kindle out in a wee bit, but first I'm going to get some food on the go. I did speak to a couple who were intending on staying in the Coylumbridge, and they were kind of put off by one of the residents in there. Apparently he was acting quite peculiar. But nonetheless, not my problem. I'm staying out here in my 4-star hotel, and I'll be nice and comfy for the night. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of my meals on the go, and we'll try it and see how they work out. So we'll catch up in a few seconds. So what I have here is one of the action pack meals, or hot pack meals. Basically it's a self-heating meal. Kind of like the ration packs that the military use. So comes with sport, comes with everything you need. Comes with the heating pack, which is in there. You add some water to it. Obviously put your meal in and leave it for 8 minutes. Just making sure that the pad properly saturated. So I'll get that all set up, and we'll come back once it starts to cook. So that is, you have about a minute to make sure that you can make sure that the heating pad's well saturated before it gets to this stage. But that's only just over a minute, and it's already starting to steam away. Takes about 8 minutes to cook, and you can already feel the heat in that bag, certainly doing its job. I tend to find with a lot of these sort of dehydrated meals that you get, even when you mix them properly and put the boiling water in, there's always these wee bits that don't cook properly. So I wanted to give this a go. Likewise, worst case scenario, if you ever ran out of gas or something like that, you've still got a meal that's ready to eat. So we'll leave that for 8 minutes and we'll see what happens. So that's the meal cooked. I can tell you it is definitely piping hot. Let's see what we've got to work with here. Yeah, fantastic. Definitely nice and warm. Definitely cooked. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the sort of dehydrated meals that you get, I mean, other than making your own ones, which obviously is a more cost effective way of doing it, is to buy like your Sea to Summits and all these other sort of brands, and you know, a lot of them are very expensive, going up to £12–13. This thing here, these meals, are about £7. You know, to me it's far more economical to buy these. And likewise, for instance, say I didn't want to take gas and pay for the gas, I'd be saving money as well. Anyway, what we'll do, we'll call it a night and we'll catch up tomorrow for stage 2, which is obviously what everyone's here for, the Munros. Good morning, folks, and it's off to a very wet start. The start approach to our first Munro of today, which is Devil's Point, and this is about to get worse. Come 11 o'clock today, it's meant to be heavy rain, so I'm going to have to manage about having my mic for recording, because there's no use in this sort of any form of heavy rain. So we'll push on. It was a nice gentle path to start with, leading you away from Cairngorms Bothy. Yeah, that was busy there last night. There was about, looking at it this morning, about 12 tents pitched up, and that's not including people who would have been in the Bothy. So that's something to be mindful if you're thinking you're going to be able to stay in the Bothy. You'll need to arrive there early to get a chance. I've just come over the crest for the first hillock, and we're on a sort of reasonably flat section of path until we get up to the major ascent. The path's been good, very easy to follow, it's quite well maintained. It's making it easy going for the first section of it anyway. Anyway, we'll catch up as we get to the crest of the mountain. Now you'll see this runnel from the mountain. You'll see this path just to the left of me. Now this seems to be a more sort of a direct approach to head up to the mountain. I'm going to keep to the official trail path. Likewise, I've got the heavier weight on me as well. So path itself, I'll try and do this as best I can. Comes up and basically zigzagging all the way along until you head up to the top. So this will reach top of the plateau. Yeah, that was a fairly slow coming up. Steep at sections as you'd expect, but I think the more dangerous part is actually when you're coming up to some of the slabs of rock, because obviously today with the rain, it's quite slippery underfoot. So I'm just going to push forward, go for obviously the summit of our first Munro, and when I get there, I'll tell you a wee interesting story about it. So we just arrived at the top of our first summit for today, which is the Devil's Point. It wasn't too hard coming up. Obviously it was steep in the last section, but it probably only took me about half an hour to get to the plateau. What I was going to do is tell you a wee story about this particular Munro. Now, going back in the past to the reign of Queen Victoria, she was coming through this glen with her entourage and her gillies. Our gillies are basically land keepers. Today we'd probably call them like forest wardens or state wardens. So she asked them what the name of this particular mountain was called. Now, the name in Old Gaelic for it was the Devil's Penis. and understandably they did not want to tell her what that the true name of this mountain was, so they actually renamed it to the Devil's Point, and that name has stuck until this day. But yeah, every mountain that you climb has some form of history attached to it. A lot of it gets forgotten over time. But anyway, I thought that'd be a wee interesting tidbit there for you. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pan the camera around, try and get us some views, and maybe point out some of the other sort of mountain tops. So if we look up the Lairig Ghru, obviously yesterday we came all the way down along here to Crua, but right in the backdrop, unmistakable, that's Ben McDouey. I'll pan the camera around here, see if we can make it out. So this is the path, and you just see that's the path that we came up, and we'll be following along the ridgeline along here, probably to the other side, and then probably dropping down until we come to the peak of Cairn Toul. So I think we'll make a start on it. My biggest concern today was the wind, and at the moment it's not too bad. It's just the heavy rain we'll need to hopefully contend with. So it's been a fair old slog coming up this section. Obviously we're gaining a lot more elevation than on our first Munro, but it is very wet underfoot, especially when you're coming up these sort of gravelly sand paths. So your feet are really starting to sink into them. So I'm trying my best to go up the grass edges when I can, but yeah, beautiful, and hardly any wind, which is surprising because the forecasters say it was meant to be quite bad. Anyway, we'll move on towards Cairn Toul. Oh, that was taxing coming up that mountain there. That was not so much just even on the body, mentally. Yeah, it was certainly a push. But now I'm up on the ridgeline heading towards our next Munro. You can actually see all the Munros that we're going to be climbing today in front of me. So it's certainly a bit more of a morale boost when you actually can see exactly what you're doing. Oh, so what I'll do, I'll pan the camera around in a few seconds for you so you can see exactly where we are. I've just walked along this ridge line here. Path actually goes behind me. Pan around. And there you can see Cairn Toul path yet again there, winding up. Now there might be quite a bit of a boulder field on the ascent to the peak. And then the path will come down, you can actually see it on the other side, leading up to the Angel's Peak. And in the background, the last Munro of the day is Braeriach. So I just arrived at our second Munro for the day. As you can see, it is still pelting down with rain. But it feels good to be here, it really does, because that's at the halfway stage for the Munros. Bit of technical scrambling coming up. I made a point to try and keep away from the edge. Probably made it a little bit harder on myself, but with it being wet underfoot, I wasn't taking any risks. So I think I'm not going to spend too much time up here. I can see the clouds starting to come in, and I'll make our way to our next Munro for the day, which is obviously the Angel's Peak. I expect there to be a bit more scrambling, a lot more boulders to get past. But once that Munro's out of the way, hopefully it'll be just some plateau walking, and that'll get a bit easier. we've just arrived at the Angel's Peak. Of all the summits we've done this morning, this has probably actually been the easier for me. I was actually, just before coming up to summit, I was hearing this sort of music in the background. Now I know for a fact that I'm certainly a little bit tired, so this has been hard going, especially the weather as it is. But I was like, I started hearing this music, and I thought, surely you're hearing things. And these couple of young lads came up, and they've got the beats like playing up full volume. Cracking pair of lads. Yeah, it was unexpected to be hearing that music so far up on the hill. I've not seen anyone all day up here. Anyway, unfortunately, the weather conditions are as you see it. You know, if you're looking for beautiful summit views, you know, you're lucky 1 in 5 times you're going to get it. Today, I was quite fortunate at the start. I was able to take some footage of the various Munros before the cloud and the worst of the rain came in. And I knew this was going to be happening, but unfortunately I can't give you as good footage as I'd love to do, but that's just one of these things. So anyway, we'll move along. Hopefully we'll be dropping down onto the plateau soon and things will get a little bit easier going. So I just took a small break, take some electrolytes, and while it's dry, hopefully this will be like this for a wee while. Put my waterproof top off. So I may add an rad top. I know it's not very waterproof. Twice I've had it out and both times I've had exactly the same results. So speaking of equipment as well, trainers I have, the Ultras, Temp 5, Temp 5, whatever they call them. Yeah, not impressed with them. Even with the heavy rain yesterday, feet got saturated. And that's not walking through any rivers or anything. So very disappointing. Anyway, move on and try and go into this nice flat plateau. So as you can probably see, the visibility is very poor. I've just come across the tundra from that sort of stream section I had up earlier on, and yeah, very hard going. It's well known that it's quite a hard section to come across for navigating. I had to sort of double check on quite a few occasions. Now, according to my GPS device, I've actually got 2 of them running. I'm looking at the maps. I should be bang on the Cairn for Braeriach. I'm going to walk a little bit further. I think there is something just appearing just ahead of me. So hopefully this is the summit. So the wind's just starting to get up. And finally at the last summit. So that's 3 of the big 5 done for the highest mountains in the UK. I've also done Ben McDu, so technically, like I say, I've done 4. Yeah, the wind's starting to pick up now, which I thought it would. I've been actually quite fortunate up until now, it's not been so bad. The rain's on and off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head down the mountainside, and hopefully it's a better path for navigating on the way down. So one of the things I forgot to mention, if you have a plan to do a summit camp south of that river section, or that stream that was coming down, going along that plateau, there's plenty of nice areas with nicely cropped grass where you can get your tent pitched. Now I've just gone onto this nice path. You know, it seems absolutely surreal, you know, because I've spent most of my day going up tundra. Oh, this is wonderful. So hopefully we make some nice headway and finally get off this mountain. I'm just taking a 5-minute pit stop here. A lot of people, when they talk about Munros, they like to give them some form of grading. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to simply say that was hard. You know, when I was speaking to young lads up on the mountains as well, they kind of thought that it was maybe bitten off more than they can chew. I'll be honest, when I was going along it today, there was a couple of moments I even questioned myself regarding that. It is a very hard challenge. So I'm going to take an alternative path, which I spoke about earlier on, to Loch Morlock. So my route will go along here, heading towards the Roffey Marcus estate, and then if you were to carry on back to either Cairngorms car park or something that's just called Sugar Bowl car park, you'll be going back up this route. The reason I'm taking the alternative distance, to be honest, is about the same. There's just slightly less elevation going the alternative route, and I am far too tired for giving myself unnecessary work. So my plan is to get into the campsite tonight, get showered, obviously get set up first, and make our way to the wee diner and get myself a very well-earned drink and some grub. I really hope you've taken something away from this video. Unfortunately, we've not had the best of weather conditions, so I've not been able to show you as much as I would have liked, but that is out with my hands. But if you have liked it, by all means, please do subscribe to the channel and leave a like. These things are much appreciated, and thank you for watching up until this point. Until then, all the best and stay safe out there.